Hi YouTubers, welcome back to my channel. Let me start by introducing myself. My name's Robina and my family and I live in Florida where we work in ministry. And if you're new to my channel, I cover curly hair care and low carb eating. And I also do a little bit of tutorials on how to do mobile photography, specifically with an iPhone. Today's video, we're going to talk about 7 healthy habits to get you maximum hair growth. And these are habits that you can follow whether you have curly hair or you have straight hair. Since my hair is curly and my focus is mainly on curly hair, you might hear me referring to curly hair, wavy hair, things like that. But these are really principles that anybody with hair on their head can follow. Okay, I have my notebook here, so I'll be looking down every once in a while. Tip number 1 to maximize your hair growth would be to use water. Water is your friend. Water is great for when you are obviously washing your hair in the shower, but water is also great in a simple spray bottle or in a mister when you're styling your curly hair. Especially when you're detangling your hair. You'll want to make sure that your hair is well saturated as well as moisturized with some sort of conditioner in there before you begin brushing through it, starting from the ends and working your way to the roots. So tip number 1 is don't skip out on the water. Get your spray bottle handy when you're styling your hair and get your water in there before you start detangling, and make sure that your hair is very saturated with conditioner before you start detangling those curls. That's going to save you a lot of shedding, a lot of ripping, and a lot of damage to your hair. The mixture of using water and a conditioner and some sort of cream before you start detangling your hair. My second healthy habit to maximize your hair growth would be to use oils and butters in your hair. Depending on what type of hair you have, from straight hair to wavy hair to all the way the most kinky coily hair, everywhere in that range could use oil and butter. It just depends on what type and how much. For somebody who has straight fine hair, they might find that using a very light oil like an olive oil, as a treatment or as like a scalp detox type thing, or as like a pre-poo before you shampoo would be good for them, whereas somebody with very thick coily hair would do just fine with using a heavier butter like a cocoa butter or a shea butter in their hair. So my second tip for healthy hair is to use some sort of oil and some sort of butter in your hair. We use both in our family. I also love to use oils such as avocado oil, olive oil, peppermint oil is really good. Oils have different classifications. You have your seed oils like almond oil, you have your fruit oils like olive oil, and then you have your essential oils, which are also very beneficial to the hair, such as peppermint oil. Cedar wood is very good for your hair, and so is rosemary and lavender. I make an oil blend here in our house that we use and that we love, and it has a base of olive oil, and then it also has essential oils in it like cedar wood, lavender, and rosemary. I'll link it down below. I actually go over the recipe for the oil and give you all the ingredients that you need to make it at your house. Tip number 3 is moisturize your hair. The best thing to use when it comes to moisturizing your hair is the product that works for you. Curly girls know they have to try a lot of different products before they find one that works for them. And with a wide range of curly types of hair, from wavy to very, very kinky coily, I would say play around with your moisturizers and try and find one that works for you, but do moisturize your hair, whether that's every day, every other day. When your hair needs to be moisturized, when it's really, really dry. Now, when your hair is dirty and it needs to be washed, you can smell that it's dirty, you can feel that product is built up. That's not time to moisturize. That's time to just go ahead and start all over with a deep conditioning treatment, washing it with shampoo, washing it with conditioner, or doing a co-wash, and just stripping your hair of all of those products that have built up on there and starting over with a clean, fresh slate. Remember to always moisturize your hair, and that's my tip number 3. My 4th healthy habit for maximizing your hair growth would be to deep condition. Do not skip deep conditioning. I recommend that you deep condition at least once a week, if not twice a week. I highly recommend that you deep condition. Your hair is gonna lose a lot of protein, it's gonna lose a lot of moisture, it's gonna lose a lot of shine, it's just gonna lose a lot of things depending on what season it is. In the wintertime, you're gonna want to moisturize and deep condition even more because it's winter, because it's harsh weather. If you live in a harsher climate, you may want to deep condition even more just to put some of those good things back into your hair that's lost through the environment, through hormonal shifts, through stress. All those things can play an impact on your hair, and this is where good nutrition and as well as deep conditioning play a part in the strength of your hair. So I highly recommend that you deep condition 1 to 2 times a week. And that could be anything from a homemade deep conditioning treatment made out of avocado, mayo, an egg, things like that. You can find tons of recipes here on YouTube or on Pinterest about making homemade deep conditioners. You can also use things like clay to do a clay mask on your hair and then follow that up with, or you can pre that with some sort of oil and then put the clay on top and let it sit, and that is an excellent detox deep conditioner. Or you can just buy something from the store. You can get products from the curly aisle at your local store that is for deep conditioning and use that 1 to 2 times a week to help restore your hair and just to help balance your hair, period. Tip number 5, to maximize your hair growth, I would say tip number 5 is to remember to wrap your hair at night. You can do this several ways. You can do it by as simple as doing a low bun at the nape of your neck, or even a high bun. Sometimes when I sleep, I'll do a high bun like this with a very soft scrunchie, like one made out of silk or velvet, something that's not gonna tug at your hair while you sleep. Or even doing a wrap in where you part it and then wrap your hair around this way and then put a bonnet over your head, a silk scarf, a bonnet, or sleeping on a silk pillow. My tip number 5 to maximize your hair growth would be to wrap your hair at night to make sure it's protected while you sleep. Tip number 6 for healthy hair would be to use protective styling and to reduce your heat. Protective styling is anything from wearing your hair in a low bun that's not too tight but covers your ends because your hair is wrapped around and the ends are nice and tucked away. Protective styling is great for seasonal use, such as in the winter when the climate is harsher depending on where you live. It's also good for just year round. Like if you are a very busy person or you're in a busy space in life where you know you won't have time to tend to your hair, protective styling is a great way for you to keep your hair covered. You can still treat your scalp with oils and with butters and things like that, but it's a great way to keep your hair covered. Protective styling can go anywhere from, like I said, a low, loose bun at the nape of your neck in the winter, or a high bun like this with a few clips put in just to hide your ends away, all the way from wearing braids in your hair, wearing cornrows, wearing extensions, just making sure they're not too tight because you don't want to have all that extra pulling on your hair. That protective styling is going to do no good if it's too tight, all the way to wearing a wig. Sometimes in the winter months when it's dry and harsh, or if I'm just feeling lazy, to be honest, I'll just wear a wig. And that is a great protective style, to just braid your hair in some cornrows, put a wig cap on and put this wig on, and then in the night treat your scalp. That's what I would usually do, is wear my wig in the day, and then in the evening when I'm getting ready for bed, I will treat my scalp with some sort of oil, moisturize the braids, and then tuck them away. The next day, wig is right back on. So that's a great way to protective style. The other tip that I have with protective styling is to reduce your heat. Heat is not going to help you when it comes to growing your hair, because that is going to cause dryness. It's going to make your hair dull and brittle. And depending on what kind of heat you use, like if you're using the flat iron every single day to style your hair, just stop right there, because that's continual heat at high temperature to style your hair and to keep it to where it's straight. If you are somebody who has curly hair, but maybe you just haven't discovered how to deal with your curly hair, how to manage it, so you're going the opposite way of just straightening it every day. That heat is going to cause heat damage. It's going to ruin your curls. It's going to make them even more loose, even more floppy in certain areas, tight in one area and then loose and floppy in another area where you won't be able to work with them at all. So you just want to go ahead and just stop using as much heat as you can. If you're using a blow dryer, use it on a cool setting or use it for a short period of time. I understand that, in the winter months when you're styling curly hair, you don't want to go straight from shower to wearing it in a t-shirt wrapped up to out the door if it's still wet. It's winter time, obviously you don't want to get sick. So using some sort of protective styling or limited heat, you can still manage in the winter months to come up with a good combination where you don't have to use heat every day. My last tip number 7, to maximize your hair growth would be to trim your ends. Now, I don't trim my ends according to a schedule. I trim my ends as they're needed. So if I'm detangling my hair and something is snagging, or if I'm fingering through my hair and I feel those fairy knots on some parts, I will take my pair of scissors and I will snip the fairy knots. And those are just tiny little knots. Sometimes they happen at the tip of your hair, sometimes they happen a little bit further up. But when you have those split ends and when you have those fairy knots, that hair is just gonna continue to split up the shaft. And that's gonna be unnecessary damage when you could have just taken care of it either in your bathroom by yourself or schedule your appointment at the salon to see a professional that you trust to trim your hair. For me personally, I trim my hair twice a year. That works for me. I'm lazy to get to the salon to actually have someone professionally trim it, but if I see there's an issue, I'm gonna take care of it while I'm in the bathroom. I have my hair cutting shears in there, and if I see fairy knots, I'm just gonna go ahead and snip them right at the base of the fairy knot and let it not continue up the shaft of my hair. Okay, that is the end of my healthy habits for maximize your hair growth. I hope you learned something from this. I hope you found it informative. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and leave a comment down below on which healthy habit you're going to implement in 2020. Also, subscribe to this channel for more healthy habits, more hair tutorials, and low carb cooking, as well as some mobile photography being thrown in there every now and again. I'm Rabina. Thank you so much for watching my video and for being with me here on YouTube. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more content similar to this one.